Hello and welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about my experience this past week seeing Dreamcatcher. I also saw Stray Kids. Quickly as an addendum, I just want to put in for any of you guys that are going to concerts now that all the K-pop concerts are really ramping up. I have so much more in the future. Please consider wearing a mask if you're going to these. I did at these 3 shows, and yet I look like crap now. I kind of feel like crap because after the 3, I did end up getting COVID. So even if it is not fully 100% preventable when wearing a mask, it surely lessens the transmission possibility. So please consider it. Also, like Felix and Ian and Lino of Stray Kids got COVID as well, and now their tour has had to skip a few dates. So if you're not going to do it for your fellow concert goers, at least maybe do it for those that you are seeing. Keep the artists in mind because they also don't want to get COVID and want to continue on their tour. So there's my little addendum. I'm going to be giving you guys a little experience of when I saw them in New York and then when I saw them in Pennsylvania. 2 drastically different experiences. Now this is to maybe give you guys who couldn't make it a little bit of the vibe or experience, and also as a little PSA to any of you maybe seeing Luna, because they're going on basically the same My Music Taste tour, same venues throughout the country. And I want to let you guys know as a big PSA of, you know, maybe if you have the opportunity to go to Pennsylvania, you really should, because the New York the venue is kind of a shit show. Before we start, I just want to say I will be showing extended like footage and everything. If you guys don't want to really be seeing tons of footage or spoilers, there will be a lot of that in this video, hopefully of good quality. I know that YouTube is going to compress the hell out of it. Maybe I can upload a full, you know, quality version on Vimeo for patrons, which as well I want to mention that I do have a Patreon. There's tons of Dreamcatcher content over on there. Most recently released a interview that they had with iHeartRadio. All of Dreamcatcher Mind is on there, including album reactions and stuff like that. So if you wanted to support me, that's the way to do it. Welcome to the toilet of Manhattan Times Square. Now, I spent many nights in the last 10 or so years working in Times Square. I cleaned all the signs, the bright signs you see up there. And if there's anywhere that a New Yorker doesn't want to spend their time, it's Times Square. Yet we were then forced to see Dreamcatcher because the venue is the Palladium, however you want to pronounce it, which is right there in Times Square. No New Yorker wants to be in Times Square and will be in Times Square unless they're selling something to you or they're trying to steal from you. Those are the only 2 reasons that they would ever be there. Now, outside of Times Square being packed with tourists, why is it such a terrible location for a completely sold out show? It is because there is no goddamn space. Everyone is going to line up early for Dreamcatcher for K-pop shows. The K-pop fandoms are very dedicated and they come early. So where is there to go? There's no queue. You can't queue really in the streets, which is what people did, yet there's so much traffic in Times Square. It creates just this hectic mess, and it's really not the right venue for them. My best guess, and with everyone complaining about, oh, these venues are too small for Luna, for Dreamcatcher, for whomever. These contracts with My Music Taste were probably made pre-COVID, I'm assuming. And K-pop not only has gotten slightly bigger, of course, in just the last 2 or 3 years, but also these groups specifically have gotten bigger and have outgrown these venues. Yet these contracts were already in place, and I'm assuming they gotta play it out. I'm thinking that is kind of the case. So we are stuck here at the Palladium, and it is the fault of the venue basically as to why this show was such a mess. It's not meant for a K-pop show. It's meant for an intimate kind of maybe like a rock vibe, a rock show, which you would expect maybe, hey, Dreamcatcher can fit that, but they're not a rock group. They're not. They're a K-pop group still. They need space on the stage to move around, perform. The stage was small. GA was flat. A lot of places like to slightly slant their GA so then people in the back standing can see over the people in the front. That was not possible. I'd say if you're coming here to see Luna in the future, your best spot, your best location that you can get is the top section of GA where there's a railing. You want to stand against that railing and forget the whole lower floor because it is not worth it. You will not see a damn thing. Like, I am not tall. I am not short. I'm 5'9". I'm kind of smack dab in the middle there of average. I'm like 6'2" at a K-pop concert because usually people are shorter than me at a K-pop concert, and I still couldn't see a goddamn thing. So I really feel for the people that were there and, like, you know, 5'4", 5'2". Like, you weren't seeing the girls whatsoever. Here was basically my view you the entire night. I could barely see the girls whatsoever. It was just phones the entire night. And I tweeted about this. I threw kind of a little fit about this because I was honestly super upset about the whole thing. And while no, I don't exactly still agree that phones should entirely be banned, I think people should just have better manners in some respect. And one thing that I really have learned in the handful of K-pop shows that I've been to now is that as someone that has been to hundreds of concerts, I really see that at a lot of K-pop shows, there are many people that this is their first concert ever, or first handful of concerts. They've never really been to them before. If you're gonna use your phone, you record 30 seconds, you record 40 seconds max at a time. You hold that thing up forehead high, not high above over your head so no one can see. And there were people in front of me recording straight 10-minute clips, 30-minute, the entire concert, and it's just too much, guys. Enjoy the experience. And now I know you guys are gonna yell back at me, oh, you recorded so much for the PA show. Different case. I was at the back of GA. There was barely anyone behind me. It was slanted GA floor, great sight lines, and also I didn't hold it high above my head. Just be considerate of the people around you, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And if you're going to record, that's fine. Just maybe not 5, 6, 7 straight minutes of recording. I don't think that's too much to ask. Enjoy the experience. Enjoy seeing the girls. The girls started with Can't Get You Out of My Mind, coming out with something super hyped to start off the show. Now, the set lists were the same, but kind of different between the two shows. The one in PA definitely felt longer for a lot of different reasons, but also they played some extra songs that they didn't play in New York. And also, I think the set list was just really jumbled. I'm not going to go hit by hit of what they played exactly, but you can see here in the clips some of the footage. I really love their outfits. They seem to be kind of going for this like casual rock aesthetic in some ways. Like it really fits the venue, I guess, that they were playing at. Very different from the outfits that they wore in PA, which I liked way more actually. But I thought this fit the vibe of the place really well. And Jiu's outfit was intense. It was wild. Handong had this awesome like racer checkered top. Yuhyun with a like bandana top, kind of like how Heejin wore over on Queendom. I really liked that. But you could see here in some of the shots that I think Yuhyun was a little bit uncomfortable in the outfit. It didn't seem to fit her exactly right. Her straps kept falling down. She would go over to the side of the stage and have Dami fix her gloves, which kept falling off and like riding up her arm. You could see in the future concert that she was way more comfortable in that outfit. After a few songs, the members sat down on stools and one by one introduced their solo tracks that they did for the Apocalypse album. And this was kind of the moment for great fan service, some great interaction with the fans, and Sua's No Dot is definitely the highlight. There were a handful of different points of panic during the show, but definitely also one of the bigger ones was when Yuhyun came out and did 4, which then she brought out Xian and seduced on stage for everybody. With Xian, I would point out real quick, the vocals are real, man. Like, whenever a point in one of their songs came that I knew Xian is belting it, I made sure to at least get a quick shot of her, because just hearing her live is really, like, an experience. But apart from not even being able to really see them very much because of people's phones and just the floor being not made exactly for a concert, the stage was not very high, the vibe just felt off. Like, they felt slightly low energy at points. I don't know if it was the heat getting to them, because it was quite hot in there with the amount of people there. And I wouldn't go as to say that it was unbearably hot. It was certainly hot, but I've been to concerts where, like, it is like you're slipping through people, no one has their shirt on, you're just sliding through all covered in sweat. But like I said, I think this is a lot of people's first show, or it's a lot, you know, they're not used to concerts like this. This is more of like a rock concert kind of venue, and people just aren't used to it, so they didn't know that you should have water on you. Like, full stop, you should have water on you, you should be rehydrating the whole show. Now, I don't know if that also got to the girls, just the heat in general of the room, because you could see that they're a little bit lower energy on stage, and the stage being kind of small, they don't really have many places to go exactly. The crowd overall is going to be lower energy, so they can't really feed off them in that way, just because people are hot as hell and they're getting drained. So it was an interesting vibe, and they made it a point to stop the show to make sure everyone was okay, passing out waters, getting waters to the back, but it's really just not possible. It's really not possible to just hand out all of these waters to an entire crowd where everyone would take one kind of thing. You had people fainting, multiple people fainting and passing out. One girl, her mother tweeted me over on Twitter, I think she was like 21 years old, had completely passed out, full stop, stopped the show. Ambulance was brought in. The girl's very, very concerned about that, obviously.
Okay? No? It's okay?
And the venue staff was total shit. Like, they were total shit in terms of, like, getting on top of that. I've been at metal concerts, I've been at rock shows where, like, people get bashed in the face when someone's moshing or something, they've got a broken nose or whatever, they're bleeding all over the floor. Security gets in there fast, gets you out, like, they get in there. This security kind of fumbling, they didn't like know what they were doing, they weren't prepared for this whatsoever. I'm assuming that shows aren't typically sold out at this location because they weren't ready for it at all. But the girls, especially Jiu, just tried to right the ship the best they could, keep some, you know, positivity up, and speak to the crowd, show their gratitude for everyone coming out.
시작할 수 있어서 너무너무 감사해요.
I'm really happy to be able to start it off with our Somnia here today.
Then towards the end of the show, they came out with some props, different things for each member, and that's when like the fan service really just exploded. Great time to then hold up your camera for sure. But I mean, they kept the positivity up. You could just tell that, I don't know if they were overheated, but just the energy was still somewhat low and lackadaisical in some way. And I only really say this especially, I definitely felt it internally, but then when I went to the PA show and just seeing the difference, like, it really just struck home to me. And I have seen really big groups in concert. You know, I've seen Stray Kids twice now. I've seen twice. So JYP really brought with the production. I understand that their company, they're not at that same popularity level or have the funding, the money. I understand that. So like the production was way smaller, but then like the energy was still a little bit low. Yet, as I said, that you'll see in the future concert, totally different, completely different, night and day. And then for the encore, they came out and played New Days, which I'm totally winning at because I love that song. I still was really hoping to hear Mayday throughout this concert because that's probably my favorite B-side of Dreamcatchers. They did not play that, but New Days earlier in the day, I had, posted an Instagram story about that, and I'm so happy that that was their encore. Really enjoyed that portion, and and then it kind of ended quickly as it began. It's very strange because it started a little bit late, it seemed like it was very short, and because I was so hot since I didn't really see them much, it kind of ended and I couldn't remember it. I walked out and I was like, I feel like I didn't experience the show, And some of that obviously is my disappointment in just not being able to see them and the way things were going. I was upset. I was like, this is my chance to see them, and I really couldn't. It's not the experience I wanted. This venue is complete ass. It sucks. It instilled fear in my heart for when I have to come here and see Luna because they're my favorite group ever, and I don't want it to be a bad experience, but I still had hope 3 days later when I saw them in PA. So let's move on to that. They performed in Reading, Pennsylvania, which I have never been to, which is pretty damn small, kind of out there. It's 3.5 hour drive for me, so I definitely made a day of it. I really like long drives. I just had to make a quick pit stop because there's no Chick-fil-A around me and I wanted Chick-fil-A. I'm sorry. And then I was on my way driving through heavy torrential rain at some points, and then I realized that the show actually started at 7 p.m. and not 7:30 like all the other shows I was going to that week. So I realized I was late and needed to make it, so I started gunning it the whole way through all of this different farmland, and it was really pretty towards the end of the drive. And then I came upon Reading, very small place, quaint, but I would say that the whole process of getting in, of lines, of parking, all of that, immensely better. And that's going to be the case when you're not in freaking Times Square, of course, but everything about this venue, full stop, 10 times better. I implore you, if you're going to see Luna, if you're going to see K-pop acts, do it in Reading if you have the chance over New York, at least if it's in the Palladium, because that place sucked ass. Now, Reading is the biggest stop on this tour. I think it has a capacity, small arena, of about 7,500 people, whereas the previous venue in New York only had a capacity of 1,500 people, so much bigger, better seating arrangements, way better lighting, way better audio mix. Everything about this was better. You could see here in the photo, I would funnel in towards the back of GA here once I got my beer, and I had a great sight. I had a great view of the stage. The stage was higher. The GA floor seemed to be a little bit slanted towards the front, so you could see over everybody, even with phones. So it was really tremendous. And I'd say that the crowd in general was better with the phone thing too. There weren't nearly as many people holding them up for extended periods of time. And you'll see that I did film quite a bit here, nothing above my head, but I hope you enjoy some of the clips. Now, these outfits just felt so much more Dreamcatcher to me. Oh my god, the big baggy shirt that Xion wore that had a cutout open back. Dami with this sweater button top thing that looked incredible. Yuhyun was crazy. The short, the everything, they looked phenomenal here. I much preferred these outfits, and they were just in way better spirits, so much more energy. It wasn't crazy hot. They had so much space to work with. The crowd was amazing. Whenever a big song came on in New York, you were simply just not seeing any of the performance. If Because came on, if Maison came on, you simply weren't seeing it, because that's when all the phones shot up because people knew that song, I guess, or were excited for it. So like I didn't see Red Sun. I just didn't really get to see it at all. So I was thrilled that I got to this time. And the performances at these shows are always so fantastic, but I gotta say, it's like the inter-member interactions, seeing their personalities, of having watched them on Dreamcatcher Mind and having seen, you know, some behind the scenes footage. I still want to watch more, like Dreamcatcher Note. I haven't really seen any of that, but seeing that on the stage is I think what you come for. Like, they feel so earnest, and it's the difference that when I go to a K-pop show compared to all the rock and metal concerts that I've gone to, like, there's this sense of family there a little bit, and just a wholesomeness, and they're so happy that you're there, and there's so much gratitude shown that it I don't know, it raises your spirits in just such a different way. You might be able to tell just based off on my footage who my bias is in this group. And boy, was the fan service heavy in Reading. Like, heavy. Yeah. Also, take a real quick look at Xion right here. Her strut, her eye glance towards the end, vicious. She's like serving it every single second of the show. And just having better sight lines of all the members, it really felt like you were there with them, whereas I felt so detached at the New York show. It was a completely different experience. There was a point where Yuhyun completed a half heart with a fan in front of me in the audience, and I thought this girl and her friend were about to pass out. You just really felt seen with this show, I guess. Like, they were interacting like with each member of the crowd, it felt like. So then came the solo portion of the show again, where this time they all got together and played rock, paper, scissors to decide who would go first, which I believe Xion won. She performed her solo and then had to choose a member, and each member therefore had to choose someone. But this one was a bit different, because not only, first of all, she chose Sua with a kiss involved in all of that, but also after Sua performed No Dots, then it came time for a lot of other members to get up and cover No Dot. So after Xion kind of flailed around and had a ton of fun with it, Dami went, and I didn't get like a great shot of this, but just seeing Xion's like expression and surprise at watching Dami go off is just well worth it. We had kind of come up and perform Playground, which was a ton of fun. I don't know if you're just realizing like how different the energy of this show is. Like I think it's even visible just watching these videos. Even when it came for Hyun's turn and she had to do 4 again, they kind of switched it up and she was then doing it with Sua, and then Sua decided to reverse the roles, and that was like of the point to where you could start to see the regret on Hyun's face of like, oh man, like once you give Sua an inch, she takes a whole mile. And then the dream show just basically continued. Xian again with the amazing vocals. Sua dancing her ass off as the main dancer she is. Any opportunity, she was shining on the stage. And the shot of Odd Eye I got was so good. I don't know why the audio crapped out towards the end of it, but oh my god, like just that impactful Sua high kick, like the spin from Yuhyun in center, like oh, there was so much energy here. And from start to finish, it was like that. The crowd was so into it, and you could clearly tell that the girls were feeding off of that. Like, they were having the time of their lives just because the venue wasn't completely overheated. No one was sweating their faces off and passing out, so people could just have such a great time. Now, this shot of the end of Deja Vu isn't great, but I just love the girl next to me screaming in support of Kayan. It's so good. Now, lest we forget that Dami was killing all of her parts, like vocally, she really surprised me during all of this. I love when she uses her voice like outside of the rapping portions. I really, really do like her voice a lot. But of course, like the high points, like big. Boko was it. Boko was the high mark where everyone was so hype. At both shows, it was like that. Now, the big portion of this show, like the lasting memory for me, and there's something like this for every K-pop show I've been to since. There's like the new member or the member that you see a little bit differently, that like when you see them live, they're more impactful. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about leaders. It was like this with Jio when I saw it twice. But Jiu, man, Jiu was just so incredibly grateful for everyone there. Like, as someone said on Twitter, like if she could get down in the audience and personally thank and hug every single person that came, I wouldn't put it past her. She was so adorable, so like high energy and happy. I have like such a new perspective on her and how great of a leader that she is.
저희 음악을 알아주셔서 너무 감사드리고 We're really thankful that so many more people know and love our music. Can't believe we're sending each other over. You just met us only after a long time too, huh?
맞아요. 한 2년 동안 우리 썸네일을 못 본 것 같아요. 그쵸?
That's right. We were able to meet over for 2 years, right?
모두 기억해
And it's this kind of gratitude from all of the members that just makes a K-pop show such a different experience from your average concert. Like there's that level of wholesomeness that you're just not used to, really, and that people that haven't been to one or are really attached to a group, or the members that are in it, like I am with, you know, Dreamcatcher, Luna, and plenty of others, you wouldn't understand. So then it was time for the encore, and man, I nearly shat myself. Like, seriously, I told you I was hoping, praying, and I knew they probably wouldn't play Mayday, and they came out and they played Mayday. And I don't really get loud at K-pop concerts, really, not like when I go to a metal show exactly. I usually stay pretty reserved and quiet, but not here. Like, that was the encore. And did you just see how much energy they still had? Did you see Handong beating that beat up, getting into it? Xion still belting at the end of the whole show. Like, it was phenomenal. And not only that, but they played more. They did a second encore. They fooled us and went back and came back out. Like, the show felt so much longer, even though it probably wasn't time-wise compared to the New York show. It just was so much more of a whole full experience. And the crowd interactions for when they came out and finished out with New Days was so good. You know, them passing different things fans had made that were in the crowd. Hanlang holding her own face and kissing it. You had Yuhan holding her own memes, like, kind of inceptioned into each other, like, out of cardboard. It was all so, so great. And that was basically it. They waved goodbye. You could just see the emotion on Jiu's face more than anyone. Like, she was just so happy to see fans right in front of her. Her eyes just glassed over, tearing up. It was a pretty amazing sight. Like, it was very impactful, very emotional. It was everything I wanted that first show to be, basically. I'm so happy that I ended up making the drive, making a whole day and thing of it. It felt just so much more eventful. So yeah, it was unbelievable. They put on an excellent show. Props as well to the staff on, like, the mixing board. The show sounded so much better. The lighting was just programmed better. You could see them, like, they were actually properly lit. It was just the place to be if you wanted to see them. And I really do feel for those that maybe saw them in New York and had a similar experience to mine. I'm sure some people really enjoyed it, but I was just so thankful that I got to see them in this proper way. So I left the arena and made my way home, a 3.5-hour trip back home, but it was literally worth every single minute of the drive. And even on my way out, I got to see this sign out front of a sign of things to come, basically. And it now has me very excited, worried for sure, seeing Luna at the Palladium like I did Dreamcatcher, not having the best experience. But the fact that Luna is also coming here to Reading to play the same exact venue has me very excited, because it's going to be a great show, and I can't wait. I actually bought GA tickets to Luna as I was still at Dreamcatcher. Like, I had regular seats and I wanted to upgrade into GA. I had such a good time, so I bought them when I was still standing there on the floor. It was amazing. Let me know if you saw Dreamcatcher at either one of these dates, or if you plan on seeing them in the future during this tour. So worth it. Best time ever. Like, I seriously have that kind of post-concert depression, along with a little dose of COVID as well, that is really affecting me. But I have so many concerts lined up. Let me know if you like this kind of video. I'd like to do more stuff like this, or, at least have it more involved when I go and see a lot of these groups. I have so many that I'm going to be seeing in the future that I think it's a fun thing to do. So let me know if you're interested in that. As I said, check out my Patreon if you want to see some extra content for Dreamcatcher. We've got album reactions, a bunch of live stages, a bunch of variety stuff. So there's a whole lot of extra things on there for you. But if you're new here, just subscribe. Check out my Dreamcatcher playlist. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff on there as is that you could, waste away your hours with. But yeah, I'm so happy I got to see them. So thank you guys for spending this long time with me. This ended up being way longer than I planned, but it's kind of for me as well. It's like a little memory capsule for myself to be able to look back on this. So I make this video for those that maybe couldn't attend or just want to know what it's like, but also a bit for myself, because I want to retain this memory. It was so great. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.